Howdy and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. We're finishing up Typhoon Week with what I think is probably one of the best kits as far as vintage kits go, which is Revell's 1/32 scale Hawker Typhoon. This kit was originally released in 1973. It's kit number H266 and is in 1/32 scale. This was part of a line of kits that Revell had been making late 60s through the early 70s of mainly World War II fighters, a couple of twin-engine fighters as well. This really set a new standard in quality of kits with exceptional detail, usually full cockpits, engines, removable panels, things of that nature, and this really set a new standard for it. So this boxing of it has box art, which I believe is done by Jack Linwood. I was not able to find anything to confirm that, but this certainly looks like his style. So the cover depicts an aircraft being flown by Roland Beamont, and Roland Beamont is one of my all-time favorite pilots. As a kid, I fell in love with the Hawker Typhoon, and came across Roland Beamont's name and read all about him, everything I could, and he became one of my favorite pilots of all time. So today's little bit of history is going to be more revolving around Beamont than the aircraft itself. So Roland Beamont was nicknamed B. And he was born on August 10th, 1920. He joined the RAF in 1939, I think it was September of 39. And by November of 39, he was posted to number 87 Squadron in France to be part of the British Expeditionary Force that was sent to France. So Beamont was a prolific flyer, flew a lot of different aircraft, was instrumental in getting the Typhoon to stay in service. At the time, it was about ready to get canceled, but thanks to the efforts of Beamont and some others, the Typhoon really showed what it could do if it was flown right and in the right type of role. He ended up becoming a test pilot for the Hawker Tempest, and then after the war worked for English Electric, which became BAC, was the test pilot for such aircraft as the Lightning, the Canberra, the TSR-2, and the final aircraft he was involved with was the Tornado. He was awarded the CBE, the DSO with bar, the DFC with bar, the US DFC, and the Croix de Guerre from Belgium. He flew with 87 Squadron Hurricanes in France and in the Battle of Britain. Also flew with 79 Squadron after the Battle of Britain, flying Hurricanes as well. Went to Hawker to be a test pilot, and was involved in a lot of the testing for the Typhoon. Due to his experience with that, he ended up being posted to initially 56 Squadron, and then became the CO of 609 Squadron, which is what this box art represents here. After all the work that he had done developing tactics for the Typhoon, including the ground attack, night intruder, things of that nature, he ended up going back to Hawker again, and was involved with the testing for the Tempest. And then when they were putting together the first Tempest wing, Beamont was promoted to wing commander of the 150 wing, which included 2 Tempest squadrons and 1 squadron of Spitfires. He was instrumental in developing the tactics to deal with the V-1 buzz bombs, personally shooting down 32 of them. And then once the war in Europe had ended, he ended up getting shot down in Holland. And after the war in Europe was over, he was putting together a Tempest wing to go to the Pacific Theater, part of Tiger Force. It was a wing of Tempest 2s that were going to be going over there, but the war against Japan ended before that occurred. So, as I mentioned before, he was initially posted to 87 Squadron. He had only had like 15 hours, on hurricanes when he was posted to an active squadron in November 39. He did a little bit of flying, got sick, got sent to the hospital for a while. When he got back, was just in time for the German Blitz, and on 8 May, he got his first kill of a Dornier 17. During the Battle of Britain, 87 Squadron had gotten moved to RAF Exeter as part of number 10 group in southern England, and he got victories on 24 July over a Ju-88. 15 of August, he got 2 BF-110s, and then 25 August, he got a BF-109 and a Dornier 17. After Battle of Britain, things were kind of calming down a little bit. The Blitz was happening, so he was instrumental in developing some of the tactics for the Hurricanes to do some night fighter attacks, and also then switching to cross-channel raids against Luftwaffe bases. He got several ground kills during that period of Night Intruder. He then got posted to 79 Squadron in May of 41, and he was doing similar work with them, showing them how to utilize the Hurricane in Night Intruder. Then in December 41, he ended up getting court-martialed. He had taken a women's auxiliary force, WAF, in a hurricane, flew her in a plane, taking her to some party or something like that, and he got caught. So he ended up getting court-martialed and severely reprimanded on it. Fortunately, it didn't end his career, which it could have, but he ended up marrying that WAF that he flew in his plane. So December 41 is when he ended up getting sent to Hawker to help do the testing on the Typhoon. A lot of vibration testing, dive testing, things of that nature. So he was trained by some of the great test pilots like Philip Lucas, on how to do good test flying. So he really, developed his skills with the Typhoon and knew what it could do. So in July of 42, he got posted to 56 Squadron and then to 609. And then when Paul Ritchie, who was the CEO of 609 Squadron, finished his tour, Beamont took over in January 43. And he took over his aircraft. This PRG aircraft was actually originally Paul Ritchie's Typhoon. So, while with 609 Squadron, it's where they developed the tactics for Night Intruder again. The bombing, carrying bombs. At the time, FW-190s were doing tip and run raids. In southern England, the Typhoon was the only aircraft that could really catch it at low altitude, and so they were able to really show the Typhoon was a worthwhile aircraft. Not very good as a high altitude interceptor due to its real thick wing, but very effective, stable gun platform, and helped deal with the FW-190 scourge that was occurring and starting to develop itself into a pretty decent ground attack aircraft. After that time period, he ended up back at Hawker again, doing testing for the Tempest, and then ultimately got posted as the wing commander in February 44 of 150 wing. And on 8 June, which was D-Day +2, he shot down his another aircraft, BF-109, was the first Tempest kill of the war. And a couple of days after that, on June 14th, the V-1 rocket attacks, buzz bomb attacks started occurring against London. Within a couple of days, Beamont and 150 Wing were developing tactics of how to defend against those V-1s. So Beamont himself personally shot down 32 out of 638 that were shot down by 150 Wing. Not only did he help develop the tactics on shooting them down, but he also developed a tactic of flying parallel, almost like a formation flight with the V-1, and sticking his wingtip underneath the wingtip of the V-1 and tipping it, getting up underneath, flipping it, and the V-1 would flip over and spiral out of control. And when they ended up being further stationed later in the war into Holland, they were stationed, 150 Wing was stationed near the village Volkel, and that's where he got his final kill, an FW-190 near Eindhoven. He was shot down by flak on a ground support mission, and ended up landing his aircraft behind enemy lines, became prisoner of war. Beamont himself was proud of the fact that he had never bailed out, never crashed an aircraft, never really damaged an aircraft throughout his entire flying career. So, with the exception of getting shot down and having to land behind enemy lines, that's really the only time that he didn't return to base. So, altogether, he had a total of 8 victories, air-to-air victories. Quite a number of trains, trucks, motor vehicles, armored vehicles, and then the 32 V-1s that we mentioned before. So that's a little bit about Beamont. He went on, of course, to fly a number of other aircraft as a test pilot. He became the first British pilot to fly faster than the speed of sound in level flight. He became the first British pilot to fly twice the speed of sound when he was testing the English Electric P-1A Lightning during its testing. So he had how many? I think it was 130 something different aircraft he flew. Where's my notes on that? He flew 500 operational sorties, 167 different types of aircraft, 5,100 hours total flying, 1,100 of those supersonic, 3 Atlantic crossing records when he was flying the Canberra. He was flying the Canberra. You're bringing it over to the United States for testing to see, if it would be purchased by the U.S. Air Force. So they flew back and forth a few times, and they set records with that crossing. So that's a bit about Mr. Beamont, and let's take a look at the kit here. So we've got some great box art. The Typhoon's really popping out, as most of Jack's artwork, did. Really fantastic, artwork, and they're busting up a train here, guys running away. Hope these are Germans and not French. Got your Revell logo down here, and you got your size of your kit. On the side here, you've got some of the details of what you're going to be getting in it, a little bit of history on the kit itself, a little bit of history about Roland Beamont. So you got the car door that opens, you got your bomb, you got an instrument panel, detailed engine, canopy, movable wheels, pilot figure, decals for Beamont's aircraft. On the other side, you have Revell information. So we've got some information about Pactra paints, ones to show which paints you're going to need for this kit, which is helpful. And you could join the Revell Modelers Club here. Cut this out, send it in with $1, and you could become part of the modeling club and get some tools and a t-shirt and all kinds of fun stuff. In the end's got a different scrap art piece of the Typhoon, and modeling experience helpful is listed as the skill level, and that kit number H266. Opposite side, similar as well, and nothing on the bottom. So let's look inside here. So we got our instruction sheet here with 3 views of how to paint it. And these are the Beamont markings. You've got the mid 42, 43 into just before D-Day Typhoon recognition stripes. And you've also got them calling out the yellow wing stripes, which were also recognition stripes for the Typhoons. Yellow spinner on there, which I believe is accurate. And then the serial number R7752 is accurate. And more history on the Typhoon and Beamont. We've got tips on how to build models. Here's your engine assembly, cockpit assembly. Front half of the Typhoon was built up in typical Hawker style. The front was a bunch of tubes welded together, bolted together, and then the skin was then attached to the outside. So it's nice that they're representing that with the tubing on there. Part 3 is installing the information, the engine and the pilot. Some more information about the specific paints to use. And the other half of the fuselage, installing the tail wheel, the car door, putting the fuselage together, putting the wings together, getting those on there. Your landing gear, looks like it was pretty nice. Putting landing gear on, and then the bombs, and then final assembly of guns, landing lights, navigation light, propeller. Nice, you're getting individual blades on the propeller blade. And here's another bit of information on the decal layout, which is helpful. So pretty thorough, but not overdone instruction sheet. Here's the decals that came with it. As you're seeing a little bit better days. But what's nice is that the red is not, that vivid red that you see on a lot of decal sheets. I think this is maybe just a little too subdued, but it's not that ridiculous bright red that you see being used. The decals are pretty accurate. I've seen a lot of reference photos on this particular plane, including the actual side panel from the nose of Beamont's Typhoon. Is at the RAF Museum, I think in Hendon. And so these are pretty accurate to it. Do get a decal for the instrument panel. So there are a few photographs of this aircraft with one with Beamont standing on the wing. There's a couple flying photographs of it. It's unclear if it was when Ritchie was flying it or if it was when Beamont was flying it. And there is also one other really good full profile photograph, but I tried and tried and tried to find it again, and I could not find it. So it's out there. So you can get some good reference to replicate Beamont's Typhoon, with what's out there. So show some of those photos for you here. And now let's take a look at the kit itself. So we've got the clear pieces here, fairly well protected. This is an era when they were starting to keep, wrap around trees on a lot of stuff instead of just loose parts. Still's gotten a little scuffed up on the top, but it'll probably buff out, but it's a nice clear piece. You've got some representation of the framing. And then here you've got your landing lights and your navigation lights. And there's the inset window for the car door, which incidentally could actually roll up and down. So literally like a car door. The left side car door they started sealing that shortly after production, because they started getting carbon monoxide poisoning coming in. So one of the ways of trying to eliminate some of that was by sealing that left car door. So in squadron service, it was only the right car door that was opening. And of course, this was all later replaced by bubble canopy, one of the first bubble canopies on an aircraft. But not a bad piece here. Let's take a look at the fuselage half. So we've got a lot of rivet detail on here. You do have the fish plate reinforcements around the tail. You've got a little bit of fabric kind of representation here on the rudder. Rudder actuating tab. Little access panels. This raised stuff on the rear fuselage. The Typhoon had flush riveting on the rear fuselage. So that's not the most accurate thing. And then you've got representations for the fasteners on the front panels. These were all removable, which made for easy servicing. And we've got some details on the engine. It's a Napier Sabre H block. There's our exhaust, crankshaft. There's your radiator, tail wheel parts. Got our other half of the fuselage, similar. There's the opening for the car door. Floor, looks like a lot of carpet parts. So you got your instrument panel, seat. I don't think that seat's very accurate. Your control column, your two sides, rudder pedals. Here's your wheels. No tread or anything on the wheels. Shape of the wheel hub itself looks actually pretty good. Pilot. It's just kind of this generic pilot that they were putting in like all of these kits. So it's not real specific to any nationality. It's just this generic guy. As far as the inside of the fuselage, really not much else. I don't think there's anything, nothing on this one either. But you do see the opening here at the front, so you can have the removable panels to be able to see the engine that you put together here. And then you've got the wings. We've got top of wings. Nice representation of the bulges for the magazines on the cannon. It's probably a little heavy on the rivets again. Underside of the wing, you do have the shell ejector, link ejector. And then you have your cannons. And your gear doors. Gear doors do appear to be shaped somewhat correctly. You have ejector pins on here, which is a little annoying. You have to clean those up. But pretty good. Here's the removable piece. It's got a little tab in here so you can stick it on there and take it off. You don't have to permanently affix it or not. There's our prop spinner for 3-bladed prop. It's only real late in the war where they got 4-bladed props, so the majority of Typhoons have got 3-blade props. We've got our bombs. These are a little bit lacking in detail, and there's all molded as one piece. Makes it kind of challenging to look realistic, I think. But you got some more cockpit parts. You got your car door. Nothing on the back side of the car door, though. There's the rear of the spinner. You got your individual blades. You have some ejector pin marks on there. Having the sprue attach on there is going to make it a little hard to get that shape pretty good. You got your tail, both top and bottom pieces, and then you got your center fuselage. And the wheel wells are very, very generic. But overall, this was a pretty good kit. Remember when I was a kid in the 70s, seeing one of these fully built up and in the showcase at a place called Military Hobbies by my house. One of the greatest model kit store hobby shops around, and they had one of these in the case, but could never find the kit. Wanted it real bad, could never find it. And then later on, Revell ended up reissuing the kit, which got me very excited. So, speaking of reissues, so Revell, as I said, brought this one out in 1973. At the same time, Revell Japan made an issue of it, same box art, everything. 75, Revell Lodella, which is Revell of Mexico, came out with one, same box art, everything. In 76, Revell Japan reissued it with a different box art and different markings. That was for aircraft PRF. And then in 82 is the reissue that I became familiar with, the History Makers series. Reissued this original kit with the original markings. There's a photo cover. So the box art wasn't anywhere near as nice, but at least, the kit was available again. This seemed to be, in all the early, late 60s, early 70s, Revell 32nd scale kits, the Typhoon seems to be one that they didn't produce a lot of, may not have been as popular. So that when that History Makers series came out again, that was real exciting. Revell issued it a couple more times in 89 with 2 sets of decals, one for PRD, also 609 Squadron aircraft, and the other one for ZZ, which was the wing commander for, I think it was the New Church wing, or something like that. So that was Dennis Gilliam, who was the wing commander. And then the final issue was 96 from Revell, and they issued it with the markings for PRF again. So that's about it. This wraps up our Typhoon week. I've also got a number of kits for Tempest, so down the line we may have a Tempest week as well. There's some interesting kits in that group. But for those of you who've stuck it out, for the whole week, hope you find the reviews helpful for you, entertaining. I'd like to give you a little bit of extra information about the history of the aircraft, the pilots that are flying them, things of that nature, not just looking at a box. So thanks for watching, and have yourself a great rest of your day.